the rookie or the veteran? Bears players got the answer from their head coach. But should their head coach have consulted them first? Why the camp battle to watch in Chicago isn't between Andy Dalton and Justin Fields. Plus, we've cornered the market on defensive backs with D'Angelo Hall's top 5 list for 2021, with special guest Giants Pro Bowler James Bradberry. And with breaking news about 2 All-Pro no-shows. Who's just sitting out and who's officially holding out? But first, New England, new headache. It's not just a camp battle between Cam Newton and Mac Jones. It's a camp battle between a running quarterback and a pocket passer. Who will win and who should win? This isn't personal, it's personnel. This is NFL Total Access. Welcome to NFL Total Access. My name is MJ Acosta-Ruiz, and there's no easy way to say this, so I'll just say it. The Patriots have a problem. Yes, on the surface, they look like a typical NFL minicamp, but dig a little deeper, and you discover something else. Cam Newton and Mac Jones taking their reps on day 1 of a 3-day Mandy Mini. Newton appears to be okay after that hand injury he suffered last week, but for Bill Belichick, the big decision here may not be a matter of choosing quarterbacks. It may be a matter of choosing systems. The former MVP admitting he's still learning.
You know, I have a constant note that I remind myself each and every day is pre-snap comfort will help post-snap results for me. And last year, Josh's system was something that has worked for decades and decades. So for me, it was up to me to kind of learn it as much as possible. And I'm so grateful to have another opportunity to learn it as much as I possibly can. In the latter part of the season, it just caught up to me. You know, I was thinking too much. I was trying to be something, you know, when it wasn't enough hours in a day, you know what I'm saying? And it's not like we wasn't working. You know, Jed at the time, quarterback coach, you know, was putting in hours and hours. It wasn't anything as far as mechanics. It was more or less than just overthinking in the comfort level.
Hello to James Jones and Tom Pelissero with me today. All right, guys, we hear all the time how teams search for quarterbacks they can build around, guys who will fit their system, right? It's an interesting situation here in New England because they have 2 completely different guys in Cam Newton and Mac Jones. So, James, Cam is QB1 right now. But should the Patriots adjust the offense for Cam, or should Cam adjust to the system?
Well, you know what, MJ? I think what the Patriots did this offseason, they showed us that they are going to adjust to Cam. I mean, they went out and you got 2 big-time tight ends in Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry. You get some speed on the outside, and you have a very good running game, and you beefed up the O-line. Why was Cam Newton so dominant in Carolina? Well, he had a big-time tight end in Greg Olsen. He had a big-time running game, and he had some speed on the outside. So they already showed, hey, last year Cam came in and he tried to run our system, and he did okay. But this year, we are going to build around him. We are going to do what he does best, and they showed that by what they did in free agency, and that's what it's going to be. And even when you hear Cam talk, he said, man, you're talking pre-snap and all this stuff is much different than the things that he did in Carolina. So now we're going to slow it down a little bit, let Cam play fast and do what he does best.
James, I spoke recently to a quarterback coach for another team who studied all the rookie quarterbacks coming out, and he predicted when we get to week 1, the Patriots starting quarterback is going to be Mac Jones because he is so smart, he is such a good processor, he's so accurate, and he's probably a better athlete than people give him credit for, too. Now, we've got a long way to go here. Expect this to be a training camp competition. Also, this is Bill Belichick and Josh McDaniels. They are always going to be very game plan specific. So regardless of who wins the job, who happens to be starting that week, they are going to adapt to what that guy does well. But it bears mentioning Cam Newton's on another 1-year contract. He's due a little bit over $5 million before incentives. That is backup quarterback money, so there is nothing financially saying the Patriots can't go to Mac Jones sooner than they planned, as long as, of course, the rookie is ready, MJ.
That being the big caveat there. All right, guys, let's stay in the AFC East. Tom, I actually would like to get your thoughts of what second-year QB Tua Tagovailoa, what he had to say down in Miami today after throwing 5 interceptions. Let's take a listen.
that's just been the emphasis for us coming out to this first day of minicamp, was just to be aggressive, push the ball downfield. Obviously you want to be smart, but if there's a time to make mistakes, now's the time to make mistakes. And we're just trying to see what we can fit in the hole, what we can throw within coverages, and come in the film room and then learn from it.
Got to get all those out now, Tua. All right, Tom, are the Dolphins all in with Tua?
Well, MJ, the Dolphins' focus through the course of this offseason has been doing more to identify Tua's strengths and play to them. They've got new coordinators. Chan Gailey is out. You've got two veteran assistants, Jord Godsey and Eric Stoodsville, who are in now in running that offense. Nobody's going to give away changes to their scheme in June, but it's fair to say this process Tua describing is part of it. The emphasis in practice today, and you'll continue to see this through the course of training camp, was don't be gun shy. Cut it loose a little bit here. Figure out where you can put the ball. This is not the only coaching staff to do this. Andy Reid is known to do this. In fact, 3 years ago, there was a lot of hoopla about Patrick Mahomes throwing 6 interceptions in his first 3 padded practices. No, Andy Reid had told him, hey, experiment. Figure out where you can and can't get the ball. Also, with regards to these 5 interceptions Tua threw today, my understanding is at least a couple of them came in a half-field or half-line drill where the defense knows the ball's going over here. That makes it a lot easier to figure it out and make a play on the football if you're that defense.
And you're absolutely right. In practices, you scheme the right defense for the right plays. That's just how it happens. What I love about it is it's showing me and telling me that he's taking some chances. And that was the problem last year. That's why they went with Ryan Fitzpatrick, because he wasn't taking those chances, throwing the ball down the field, trying to make these throws. He was trying to be too conservative and manage the game. So I like it. I don't like the picks, but I like him taking some shots. And this happens. It's practice.
We talk about practice, James Jones. Remember, you guys, he said not that long ago he didn't fully know that playbook last year. He admitted it, right? But now he's got a full knowledge, taking some risk. But, yeah, we got to get that out now. Resolved. Thank you, guys. All right, as we make our way around the division, the Jets rookie QB is building through minicamp. Zach Wilson out on the field with his squad, the 2nd overall selection in this year's draft, getting praise from his teammates.
I think that he's a baller. You know what I'm saying? I haven't really had a lot of opportunity to watch him much, just being honest, just being absent away from here. But, today, you can definitely kind of see the talent. And, I just think that, he'll get better with time and, be ready to go when the season comes.
He's going to be a problem. He's really good. He's really good. He's going to be a problem. I'm excited about him.
How much of a problem? Well, Kim Jones joining us now along with D'Angelo Hall here. Kim, I'll start with you. How has Zach Wilson looked this spring?
Well, D'Angelo and MJ, I have yet to see a rookie quarterback come into this league and not have any growing pains in his first mini camps and first introduction to the pro game. And Zach Wilson is no different. He had 2 interceptions today during team drills. He's also had, yes, his fair share of excellent throws that I've seen when I've been at these Jets practices and this week at the mini camp. He's also gotten rave reviews from who he is in the building and the way that he approaches practice. And all of that's really important, too. And this is really good news for Zach Wilson. Coach Robert Saleh saying today that Corey Davis and Denzel Mims, both of whom have missed time this spring, as well as Jamison Crowder, who you just heard from and who has reworked his contract, should all be ready. And I want to throw in another rookie. Elijah Moore out of Ole Miss is a wide receiver that has absolutely caught my attention at the Jets practices. He looks outstanding. D'Angelo, there's something about the way this rookie catches a football. You know what I mean? He's got that quick grab almost. He's looked terrific in the times I've been there.
All right, so we got 2 rookie players that we're keeping an eye on, but they're not the only ones adjusting to new roles here. D-Hall, what do you see as the biggest challenge for Robert Saleh in his first year as the Jets head coach?
Yeah, and Kim, you mentioned everything perfect. You talked about Zach Wilson and how impressive he is as a quarterback and how young guys, they're going to go through their growing pains. And, this Jets team, yes, personnel-wise, we can sit here and say it's all these different things they got to do. But for me, it's culture. That's why Rob Saleh was chosen to be the next head football coach of the New York Football Jets. It's the culture he's going to bring in that locker room, that never quit mentality, that mindset to go out there, and it doesn't matter who your opponent is. And in this division that's been dominated by so many years by the New England Patriots, you almost do feel like the little brother at times. And so, you know, I think that's the biggest challenge, is those guys in that locker room really understanding that they're on a level playing field with every single team in that division, and they have a chance to go out there and win. That's the mindset.
D-Hall, I love that answer, and I think you're going to like this one. When it comes to Robert Saleh, I asked him today about his first spring as a head coach, right? We're going to ask him about a lot of firsts this season. And this is how he answered me. He talked about Joe Douglas and his staff. He talked about the support staff. He talked about a team with great character individuals on it, saying that he can't wait till they face adversity because he thinks they'll handle it very well. He never used the pronoun I. He never personalized a question that in my asking it, I specifically asked about him. And one thing before I go, I want to leave you with this because it's terrific. Greg Van Roten is a guard for the Jets. He's also the player rep. So today he was on with the media, talked about some COVID stuff, you know, all of those kinds of questions you would expect. I asked him about the difference in the building because Van Roten's been in this league for a long time. He said this: you feel like that weight has been lifted and hope has come back into your building. I love this game. I love my job. I have goosebumps saying that, and I already heard him say it once. It is incredible, incredible, MJ and D-Hall, the way Robert Saleh, before the Jets have even played a game, has affected this organization.
That sounds completely spot on with what I've seen and what I know of Robert Saleh. By the way, speaking of that hope, the Jets have not made the playoffs since the first 2 years of the Rex Ryan era. That was basically a decade ago. All right, thank you both. All right, let's take a look now at the latest headlines from around the league. Do not call it a holdout. Jamal Adams was not present at Seahawks minicamp today, but according to Tom Pelissero, the safety was excused for personal reasons. Now, a different scenario for another D-back in Miami. Pelissero reporting that Dolphins star cornerback Xavier Howard is officially a holdout. The NFL's leader with 10 interceptions last season. Howard is due $12.1 million in 2021, but he's Miami's second highest paid cornerback behind Byron Jones. All right, Tom P. also dropping these vaccine numbers. More than half of the players on NFL rosters have now taken at least one COVID-19 vaccine shot. Vaccinations won't be mandatory, but efforts by the league and teams to both educate and incentivize, those seem to be working. Okay, full disclosure, we're about to ask a question that many old school coaches will find offensive. Should head coach in Chicago, Matt Nagy, have listened to the opinions of Bears players before naming a Bears starting quarterback? That's coming up. But first, why the fate of the Steelers isn't in the hands of their quarterback, his talented trio of wide receivers, or even the league's #3 overall defense. It's in the hands of a rookie.
Here for Total Access Overtime, and today's topic du jour is what quarterbacks are under the most pressure entering the 2021 season, and there are many quarterbacks under pressure, so I want to get right to this, and I'm going to start with Cynthia Freeland, way to my left over here. And Cynthia, this guy I think might have a breakout year. That's what I've been saying, but I won't believe it unless you say that that might happen as well.
Well, listen, Baker Mayfield is who we're talking about here. And I'm actually going to talk about kind of the bookends of that 2018 draft. The first overall pick, Baker Mayfield, and his buddy in the AFC North, Lamar Jackson, the 32nd pick. When I look at Baker Mayfield standing behind that revamped O-line and all the additions that they made to help him out, to make sure that he could absolutely succeed in this Kevin Stefanski play-action-based offense where he really significantly improved last season, this is the, like, pay-me situation. They've given him every weapon. They've given him every opportunity. You have a healthy Odell Beckham, and that's going to be, all right, are we going to pay you or not? Another guy looking for a payday? Yeah, Lamar Jackson, the 32nd pick. Obviously, he had an MVP season, but a lot of people are questioning, can he throw the ball downfield? Is it just all about his legs? Can they disguise this offense and create the passing situations that make the Ravens winners? Because the expectation for Ravens, yeah, it's not the postseason. It's deep into the postseason. So for me, both of these guys are really in their make it or break it situation, and they did surround Lamar Jackson as well with a revamped O-line and some additional help at the wide receiver position.
That's fair. A couple of guys, you know, a couple years into their career, and it's time for them to show us what they really can do. Let's be a little unfair now, and Mike Giardi's going to do it for us because he wants to talk about a guy who didn't even have a full rookie season, but really needs to step up, and I agree with it, too.
Yeah, Mike, the rush to judgment on Tua Tagovailoa was a little bit too quick for me. He's got 9 games under his belt, not even 9 complete games under his belt, as he was relieved a couple times by Ryan Fitzpatrick. But when you look at what Miami did during the offseason, they gave him Will Fuller, they drafted Jalen Waddle, they drafted Hunter Long, a tight end, in the 3rd round. They've upgraded their offensive line, which is young but gelling. They're really putting it on Tua to take that next step. And, yeah, they sniffed around Deshaun Watson before that thing went sideways. I think when you look at some of Tua's numbers deeper, you understand that he was really conservative, and the game plan around him was really conservative. Well, now they've given him the pieces, Mike, to open this thing up, and he's got to show that he can do what he did at Alabama or something close to it.
Yeah, we've been talking about teams adding weapons. Let's talk about a quarterback who had a big weapon taken away. That is Matt Ryan.
Right.
He lost Julio Jones. Now Ryan Tannehill got him. So, Willie, I want you to get to Tannehill. But start me on Matt Ryan, because losing a weapon can put some pressure on you as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And let's give these young guys some time. I mean, these guys haven't even started a full season, and we're already saying the pressure's on. You got to go win a Super Bowl. Give them some time. But here's a guy who's had a lot of time, okay? Matt Ryan. Since the Super Bowl, it just has not been the same. Now, Matt Ryan is one of the better quarterbacks, and he one of the best at completion percentage and all those different things. But the last 3 years, they're 18-30, okay, with no playoffs. And when you look at a team trying to get better, rebuild, or make a run for the Super Bowl, that backfield is not the same. With Freeman and Coleman, they're gone. Majority of all the receivers from that Super Bowl team that had a target is gone. Your GM has been fired. He's been through 3 head coaches. So the common denominator who's still there standing tall is Matt Ryan. They did not go out and draft a quarterback. They were in position to draft one of these top quarterbacks in the draft, and they didn't do that as well. So now that you have Matt Ryan and all these new pieces and all these changes that's going on in the front office and on the football field, I would say by them not going to get a quarterback, they are putting a lot of pressure saying they believe in you and you are the guy. So you need to come into this system, come into whatever's going on with the new coaching staff and show why they didn't draft a guy to replace you and you're still there and all these other pieces are gone, like Julio, who is now with Tannehill. Now, why is the pressure on Tannehill? I don't think so. I think Tannehill has done a phenomenal job at being a quarterback for the Tennessee Titans, doing everything they wanted him to do. He's playing well within the system. They were a run-first. This was a run-first football team, okay? You got to respect Derrick Henry, and when he needed to make the throws down the field off the play action and make those big plays with his arm, he delivered. That's why they gave him the big contract. He fits this system and what they're asking him to do perfectly. Now, you add Julio Jones to the mix. This is saying we've got to up our pass attempts because they wasn't at the top of the league when it came to passing the ball down the field because they didn't have to. If you don't force a team to do something and they can take advantage at one dimensional of the game, they'll do that. Now, because you have these 2 talented guys on the outside, he is going to have a little bit of pressure to throw the ball a little bit more. But in my opinion, it's not pressure, it's an advantage because now you add another dimension to the playbook and to the offense where you're not predictable. You can start the game by firing the ball down the field to open up the running game, and it changes things dramatically of how teams have to approach the Tennessee Titans now.
Yeah, now let's stay in the AFC South because there's a new quarterback in that division. Carson Wentz leaving the NFC East, joining the Indianapolis Colts. And listen, the last couple of years in Philly, whether it was an injury or some drama, the selection of Jalen Hurts last year, there was a lot of things around Carson Wentz that just didn't have him feeling great. So I say he's under pressure because, now he goes to Indianapolis and he's got Frank Reich again. He's got really good weapons around him. He's got a really good offensive line around him. So, yeah, now it's time for him to perform. But when I say there's more pressure on him, I actually think he's feeling a lot looser right now. He spent a lot of time this offseason with his new teammates in Indianapolis, getting to know them. And so there's been a really good feel on his part, leaving that Philadelphia market, which is really tough. You try to block out all the noise. You really can't in that market. So he spent this last couple of months in Indianapolis, and I just know that he's feeling better and thinking that maybe he can get back to playing Mike Giardi like he did earlier in his career, where he's playing loose and wasn't feeling the pressure as much.
Come on, Willie. No, hey, look, I totally agree with you here. And when you look at that Colts roster, I think that Colts roster is built to win now. In fact, I think they could be championship-driven if the quarterback in Carson Wentz can play something close to like he was in 2017. Now, is he too far removed from that? I don't know. What I do know is obviously the relationship with Frank Reich is a great one. Reich believes in him. The Colts believe in him. And he actually has weapons to throw to now at wide receiver, something that he did not have the last 2 years. His leading receivers last year were both undrafted free agents. That's usually not a good recipe for success in the National Football League. Now he's got the pieces, but it's on him to make it work.
And Mike G, we got to stop making excuses for these $100 million+ quarterbacks that were high draft picks, okay? He played in a tough market. Like, all these guys play in a tough market. When you're not playing well, the market becomes tough because they're going to boo you, they're going to talk about you, and they're going to get after you. He had the pieces. He had a good head coach. I know he had a depleted roster of receiver, and the weapons were hurt. But at the end of the day, he has to stay healthy. He has to stay on the football field, and he has to produce. Whatever is out there, you got to produce. That's what any quarterback in the league.
Willie, I'm glad you came back like that because that crystallizes my point. Maybe I didn't make it clear. The pressure's on Wentz because all of those things that we were talking about that were factors back in his time during Philly, they're all gone now. So, yes, he has to perform and show that now he can get back to being that guy that he was early in his career. But those the noise in Philadelphia and all those factors, they're now Jalen Hurts' problem now. He's got to deal with that. And I would say the pressure's on him because I'm looking at Philadelphia's draft capital next year. They have 2 first-round picks, likely 3 if Carson Wentz plays the requisite number of snaps in Indianapolis. So they're going to have the capital to get themselves another quarterback if Jalen Hurts doesn't perform. So I know, Willie, you want me to wait till these guys are later in their career to say the pressure's on them, but it's on Jalen Hurts right now. I'm sorry, Willie. Don't hate me.
Well, when you talk about draft capital, we saw the Giants do something kind of weird this year. They traded down, which was not historically what Dave Gettleman likes to do. So for me, Daniel Jones is under some pressure here because they've surrounded him with every opportunity to succeed. They got him Kadarius Toney. They got him that guy from Detroit. I'm not going to talk about it because it hurts. I'm from Michigan. So ultimately, when you look at Kenny Golladay and his effect and all the opportunities for Daniel Jones, if he doesn't succeed, I think it's out of the Big Apple, which, by the way, is also a particularly tough media market when things don't go well.
Yeah, the pressure was on all 4 of us to get this done in the requisite time. We did it.
That's why I stopped talking.
Nice job, everybody.
That's a pro.
All right, good stuff, everyone. And speaking of Brady and Aaron Rodgers are getting ready to square off in golf. Look out for the match airing on TNT July 6th. Here's a little sneak peek at how they're getting ready.
Aaron and I are grinders and competitors, and just like y'all are, our golf games are a little bit better. So, we'll see.
I do think you do have a partner that would probably have liked to go for it a little more often than he has in the past. So, Bryce, I'm glad you're encouraging him to kind of go for it when it's on the line. So rather than just knock it into the fairway or something like that, and try to play for the next shot.
Yeah, I'll never push anyone to do anything. So he can choose whatever he wants to do.
I usually don't get the option in my.
That's what I mean. You'll finally have the option, Aaron.
JJ, I want to see the rest of Aaron's T-shirt there. But listen, I need your polo ready here, full golf mode. Who will win the match, Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady?
Well, you already know who I'm going with, and I'm going with a guy that I golfed with before, and that's Aaron Rodgers. Listen, I ain't golfed with Tom yet, so I can't vouch for Tom, but I have golfed with 12, so Aaron Rodgers, so I'm going with 12. He can't beat me, but he's going to win this match, though.
Listen, he has been very relaxed. I think he's going to be focused on that golf game.
Chilling.
I agree. Thanks, JJ. All right, Stephon Gilmore was the 2019 Defensive Player of the Year, and he is not number one. Jalen Ramsey is the reigning first-team All-Pro on a 4-year Pro Bowl streak. West posting this on Instagram, saying best corner in the game from South Carolina. That IG handle, though, bump and run Gilmore, let him know it's love, Brett. See, I love it. All right, it's time now for Top 5 Tuesday with our very own 3-time Pro Bowl shutdown corner, D'Angelo Hall. D. Hall, my friend, why don't you take us through your top 5 cornerbacks going into the 2021 season? Count them back, starting at number 5.
All right, I got you, MJ. And look, no offense to any of these other DBs out there, corners out there. Trust me, I was always one of them guys who looked at everybody's list, and if my name wasn't on it, I got a little pissed off. So I could only pick 5, but let's start with number 5. And it's the man, Stephon Gilmore, that you just saw DeAndre Hopkins out there trying to recruit. Gilmore is 2 years removed from Defensive Player of the Year. He wants to be paid. He's holding out of camp. And this dude is the technician at the position. He goes out, he dominates number 1 receivers. He really shuts down half of the field for that New England Patriot defense and allows them to be so dynamic. So he makes my list at number 5. Number 4 is one of the young fellas, Jair Alexander. And this dude is a ball magnet. I remember talking to him during the combine draft room meetings and just hearing the fight in his voice. I knew when he stepped into this league, he was going to be a dominant force. He goes out, he gets the football, he'll tackle. He goes and takes the other team's number 1 opponents out of the game. I love that dude right there, Jair Alexander out of the Green Bay Packers. Number 3 is a guy that when he first put that 24 on with the Carolina Panthers, I was kind of like, hold up, is this Josh Norman 2.0? But when James Bradbury went and moved to the Giants and was able to play a lot more man-to-man coverage, he really showed me that he is an elite receiver in this league. I got to see him twice a year go against Terry McLaurin, who I think is a dog. And James Bradbury rose here to the occasion every single time. So he makes my list at 3. Number 2 is the man, the myth, and the legend, Jalen Ramsey. I know he wants to be number 1 on this list. He probably deserves to be number 1. He's probably the most freakish athlete on this list. He goes out, and from the day he got into this league, he's just dominated opposing number 1 receivers. He played on the number 1 passing defense last year, so he rounds my list at 2. And number 1, you have to get the football, guys. And it's Xavier Howard, because no matter what is going on, this kid seems to always find a way to get the football. It doesn't matter who he's covering, whether it's a speedster in Tyreek Hill, a big body receiver. He finds a way to put himself in great position, and he comes down with the football, and he's holding out of camp as well. He's the number 2 paid corner on his football team, which doesn't make a lot of sense. But Byron Jones, I know Xavier wants to be paid a little bit more than you, buddy, but that's my top 5, MJ.
Man, I know we make it hard on you, D-Hall, only giving you 5 spots, but that's a heck of a list. Here's a quick recap of D-Hall's top 5 cornerbacks heading into 2021. Bookended by a couple of holdouts there. Stephon Gilmore at 5, Xavier Howard at 1. One corner not holding out on us, Giants' very own James Bradbury, who joins us right now. So we get immediate reaction. Welcome in, James. Thanks for being with us. So number 3 there. Number 3 on his list. What do you think?
You know, I'm honored just to be mentioned amongst those guys. You named some elite corners in this league, and I also keep up with them guys throughout the season. So I watch those guys film, and I'm motivated every time I turn it on.
And James, I'm gonna tell you this. I didn't even know you were going to be the interview guest. I turned that list in last night, and you were on my list, man. And I'm telling you, it's a true testament to the way you ball. I said it a little bit in that intro, man. Just take us through really the transition from taking that game from where it was in Carolina to really an elite level that you guys have been playing with, that whole Giants defense.
Well, like when I was in Carolina, I feel like I played at an elite level. You know, of course, it took me 5 years to get on your list and all. But when I got to the Giants, it was just I was making more splash plays. I was making more highlighted plays. I feel like that play against Allen Robinson was like one of my best in my career. So I just made more splash plays, I guess.
James, thank you, because, of course, you did the humble thing off the top. I'm honored to be there, but you made sure to let D-Hall know it took him a little bit too long to get you on there. So where does this Giants defense as a whole stack up now in the NFC East? Good enough to take the division?
Well, I can't really say where we stack up right now because we're just in the beginning stage of building our defense and our culture and our establishing who we want to be for this season. So right now we're taking those small steps with OTAs and mini camp. And I know guys are going to work out pretty hard throughout this offseason to prepare for the training camp. So that'll be step 2.
You know, Daniel Jones going into his 3rd season now. What are you seeing out of your QB?
I see a great quarterback. You know, I practice against him every day. I see the decisions that he's made and the throws that he makes. He makes some pretty good throws, you know, and I felt that pressure as well going into my 3rd year to be a part of an elite team and get signed on for a new deal. So I felt that pressure as well, and we all go through it as NFL players.
Hey, James, how excited are you to engage in those position battles? As a corner, I always enjoyed when another number 1 receiver would come to my football team. You got a guy in Kenny Golladay, and I know you guys have had some other talented receivers, but Kenny Golladay, I think, is a real number 1 and can go out there and really help the rest of that offense as well as help you guys on defense just iron sharpen iron.
For sure, you know, to be able to play against a guy like that each and every day in practice, of course, it's not going to do anything but make you play. I played against him my 3rd year, and I watched his work for his last 4 years that he's been in the league. You know, he's a real go-getter. And I think it's going to make a real big difference for our team.
James Bradbury, thank you so much for coming on. Listen, this division is giving us plenty to speculate and talk about this year. We're excited to see you hit that field, though.
Thank you all for having me.
Okay, good news for anyone in the market for some veteran leadership at the quarterback